Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today I'm going to be discussing Brandywine out of Wilmington, Delaware. And the coffee we're going to be talking about is this Costa Rica Las Lajas black honey processed coffee. And I'm just going to go real quick about Brandywine, of course out of Wilmington, Delaware. I didn't get an opportunity to stop by when I was out there. Coffee shops were just closed when I got there, and they're a really notable, prestigious, big coffee roaster, considered one of the better ones in the entire country. So definitely reviewing something of higher quality here. And one thing I've always liked about Brandywine is their cute little illustrations, drawings, photos at the front of their bags right here. So that's kind of cool. And their stamps. They got a lot of cool things going on. And they have a lot of coffees. I've had a lot of their coffees. They rotate through so many different coffees. There's always something new and interesting on their website. So if you're not familiar with them for some reason, then go ahead and check them out when you get a chance. I'm sure there's something you'll be interested in. But let's go ahead and talk specifically about this coffee. And I'm going to be going through my journal here real quick about it. And the first day I got this was day 8. So a little later than I like to try the coffee. But what was pretty surprising was the roastiness of this coffee. I didn't taste anything specific, just a little bit more roastiness than I was kind of expecting. This has been a weird but continuing theme with Brandywine coffees. The first day I open the coffee and try it, it seems to be a little roasty, and I almost question if the roast is wrong. But we're going to go to the next day, day 2, which was day 9 into its roast day for me. And then it changed. Almost all of the roastiness was gone, and it's kind of a weird coincidence and something that happens a lot with their coffees, but maybe it needs another day, or maybe it needs a little bit more air. I can't really explain why this happens with Brandywine's coffee, but it just seems to be consistent. Day 10, and I'm going to highlight day 10, and day 10's the best day of this coffee. That's when I was getting a lot of wildness, a lot of, surprisingly to me, fermented strawberry taste. A little bit of apple that was lingering throughout, and the apple acidity was pretty prevalent as it cooled off. And when I put up the tasting wheel, you're going to see that I labeled the acidity for this coffee pretty high. And this was the day I made the flavor wheel, was on day 10, because I figured this might be the best day of the coffee. And then day 11 is when things went from day to night again. It pretty much went to a strong vegetal, and the fermented strawberry was gone. This right here is day 15, and I've been sipping on it just a tiniest bit. I made this through the Bonavita automatic coffee maker rather than through the Chemex, because I was curious to see how much different it might taste. I think I'll discuss that a little bit more when I'm discussing the tasting wheel. But day 12, the coffee became a bit more neutral. The caramel sweetness was more prevalent. It had a lighter body, but the fruit had seemed to disappear. So we had a drastic change from day 8 through day 10 through day 12, which is really surprising. But I'm going to go ahead and put up the tasting wheel right now, and I'll discuss this a little bit more. So that finish was very strong, and it was very acidic, and it was very apple. And I highlighted that berryness because the fermented berry was also very strong. And throughout the entire life of this coffee, it's been very smoky. Not something I typically expect from Costa Rica's, but this coffee is just a very smoky coffee. Even to this point, it's pretty smoky. And a lot of the negative things, like I'm not the biggest fan of high acidity in coffees, but it seems to disappear a little bit more. The vegetalness seems to disappear more when I did run it through the Bonavita maker. And while a lot of the pleasant fruits have been gone, it still has some really nice caramel characteristics. By the time it gets to this point in the coffee, it's still very strong. It doesn't seem to have lost any sort of punch to the actual flavor you're getting from the coffees. It just changed a lot, and this is probably one of the most changing coffees I've had in quite a while. There's no consistency from day 8 through day 15. But yeah, the other things I highlighted, not a whole lot of body, not a whole lot of other things were strong in this. Pretty much the things I highlighted were what was really common in this coffee. I think the pros I'm going to talk about is also the same as the cons. If you want something that changes so drastically and something that's seemingly inconsistent, I think this is something you'd like, because no 2 days were similar when it came to this cup of coffee, which is very surprising for me. But at the same time, that's kind of a negative thing if you were looking for something that you're going to taste the same. But I guess that can be kind of viewed in a positive light, because I was never getting too much kiwi, I was never getting too much melon from what they listed as their flavor notes. And one thing I want to say about Brandywine is they have some very creative and unique flavor notes that they list on their coffees. They've always been this way, and I don't always see eye to eye with what they're tasting, but different people get different things out of coffees all the time. So I think the type of person that I would suggest this to is somebody that is kind of experimental with their coffee. Somebody that likes something that changes so much and finding the sweet spot. Finding the ability to tweak the coffee to exactly the preference you'd like. Now, if you're an espresso person, an AeroPress, Chemex, French press, like, you can find a way to make this coffee work for you. And that seems to be where I was kind of missing this. As somebody that just seems very, pro Chemex and likes to put everything through the Chemex, I kind of expected more consistency than I was getting. So that was just my knock on this, but again, some people might see that as a positive. I'm going to leave it at that for this coffee and just end it right there. This has been a brief discussion of this Las Lajas, Costa Rica Black Honey Process coffee from Brandywine. Thank you for watching.